Quran.
You have a choice of the Quran, the Bible, and affirmation depending on your faith.
This one? Yes. Okay. I, Salim Mvurya Mvurya, do hereby swear to testify on all matters in question and tell this committee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me Allah. Sign it. Write my name.
Honorable members, the nominee for the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs is before you. The Honorable Salim Mvurya, this is a committee of Parliament, the National Assembly, whose mandate under our standing orders, the law and the Constitution, is to test your suitability for the docket to which you are nominated. You are going to have a 90-minute engagement with the committee where members will ask you questions or make comments. You are advised to answer questions through the chair, as members will also ask questions through the chair. We encourage you to be concise and precise in your answers. Don't volunteer unnecessary and unhelpful information where it has not been sought, so that we can make good progress. We advise you that this is not an adversarial process. It's a process with a lot of candor, respect for the House and the nominee. But members will ask hard questions, firm questions, to which we expect honest answers. Once we finish the preliminaries, we'll give you an opportunity to, in 10 minutes, tell us the story of your life. And at the end of the proceedings, we'll give you another 2-3 minutes to tell us your final wish to the committee. We will introduce the members of the committee. The chair of the committee is the speaker. You are truly here. I'll ask the deputy speaker and members to introduce themselves.
I'm Gladys Boss, member for Wasingishu County and Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Karibu.
Thank you.
MP Kikuyu.
Yeah, my name is Opio Wandai, MP Ugunja.
Junet Mohammed, MP Suna East.
My name is Owen Baya, MP Kilifi North.
Yeah, I'm Robert Mbui, MP for Kadiani.
My name is Rehab Mukami, County MP Nyeri.
I'm Ferdinand Kevin Wanyonyi, Member of Parliament Kwanza, Trans Nzoia County.
My name is George Gitonga Murugara, MP Tharaka, Tharaka Nithi County.
And mine is David Kosing, MP Poko South, West Pokot County.
I'm Abdul Rahim Daoud, MP for North Imenti, Meru County.
Honorable Mishi Juma Mboko, MP Likoni constituency, your immediate neighbor.
Thank you. Caleb Amis, MP Sabot.
Abdi Shurie Balambala, Garissa County.
Emase Mary, Teso South.
Gikaria David, Nakuru Town East.
Naisula Lesuda, MP Samburu West.
We also have our clerk to the National Assembly and her staff. You'll introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Sarah Kyoko. I'm the acting clerk of the National Assembly, and I have with me the Director, Audit, Appropriation, and other select committees, Ms. Florence Abonyo, and the Deputy Director, Legal Services, Mr. Michael Karuru, together with a raft of other staff assisting this committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Bwana Mvurya, we need you to deal with some preliminaries in terms of documentation. Do you have your tax compliance certificate?
Yes, I have.
Your Higher Education Loans Board?
Yes, I have.
Clearance with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission?
Yes, I have.
Your certificate of good conduct from the DCI?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever been charged in a court of law and convicted of a criminal offense?
No.
Are you a dual citizen of Kenya and any other sovereign?
No.
You have your national identity card, the original?
Yes.
You'll pass on to the clerk's team together with the original documents for them to compare with what you already forwarded to us. What is your financial net worth?
My financial net worth, Mr. Chairman, is 120 million in land, houses, bank accounts. Yeah.
Houses, bank account?
Bank accounts, yeah.
No vehicles?
Yeah, vehicles, sorry. Vehicles
Yes.
also. Yeah, 120 million.
120 million. Give you your 10 minutes. If you take less, the better. The journey of your life up to where you are.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, and members of this committee. I want to restate my names. Salim Mvurya Mvurya. I was born in a small village in Kwale County called Kazandani. I went to school at Mavrivrini Primary School, and I finished KCP exam. Then I was admitted at Mpeketoni Secondary School in Lamu County, where I did my CSE, and I qualified to join Egerton University, where I graduated with a degree in agribusiness management. And thereafter, I worked for some time. Then I got a scholarship with the Ford Foundation in their international fellowship program. And I went to do my master's at the University of Sussex Institute of Development Studies in Brighton, England, UK. I started working as a contractual employee in 1995 at Rea Vipingo Plantations, where I was a field monitoring officer. Thereafter, I joined Tegemeo Institute of Development Policy and Agriculture, where I worked as a research assistant for about 1 year. And in this particular research project, we were able to move around 11 districts of our country. We were actually working on a project that is called the Agricultural Investment Program. Then after that, I was employed at Kwale Rural Support Program as a field officer. This is an Aga Khan Foundation project. And I worked for about 2 years. Then I was employed by Plan International in 2000 as a program officer. And within 1.5 years, I got a promotion to be a program unit manager. I also worked in the same organization as area manager and also became acting country director at some point for 2 months. And within this experience as an employee of all these organizations, I was able to acquire a lot of experience in development planning and implementation. And therefore, in 2012, I decided to contest for the position of governor, where I served for 2 terms from 2013 to 2022. Within all these positions, Honorable Chairman and members, I was able to design and implement transformative programs in the areas that I worked. And one of the things that I have left as a legacy in Kwale County is the social development programs, economic programs, and also political transformation. In the area of socioeconomic development, we were able to begin a very exciting program of education we call Elimu ni Sasa, where we were giving scholarships to students, and as I was handing over, we had over 4,035 who are at the universities and 7,885 in the national school program, where we were paying for their fees in the 4 years of their schooling. In terms of economic transformation, as I left office, I left Kwale ready for economic takeoff. And also in terms of political transformation, I think we've been able to have a situation in the county where accountability and governance is one of the things that citizens look at in everything that is done. And I think we also made history to have the first female Muslim governor in Kenya through that arrangement. So I think I come here, Mr. Chairman and all members, to discuss with you this new responsibility of mining, blue economy, and maritime affairs. If you look at my journey, in all the areas that I have been in positions of leadership. In secondary school, I was a head boy and school captain. At the university, I was chairman of agribusiness, and also I have served in other capacities. I've been the chairman, Jumuiya Counties of Pwani, a regional economic bloc, where we were able to develop a blueprint which was focusing on some of the resources that will be discussed today on blue economy. So I think I present myself to this committee and Kenyans being very sure that I have the competencies and the requisite experience to serve as the CS Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking forward to a very exciting discussion, because I think mining, blue economy, and maritime affairs is fairly a new ministry. But I think through the discussion here, through the collaboration with the National Assembly and all other stakeholders, we should be able to have a situation where we begin to rediscover the road to prosperity through this particular ministry. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Salim. Thank you for those introductory story about your life. I'll now open the floor to members to engage you in the manner that I had said. Our time is 90 minutes, including the time already consumed. Let's try and keep time as much as we can. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Mvurya, congratulations on your nomination as the Cabinet Secretary for Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs. I just have one question for you. There's been allegations of corruption in relation to issuing of mining licenses and other permits in the mining sector under the Mining Act, where the Cabinet Secretary retains the power to issue those licenses. What will you do to root out the alleged corruption in that particular area? And also, we know you were governor of Kwale. We know that in May 2022, we had residents who had been relocated out of the area where the titanium mining is happening, and they actually had a demonstration because they said they had not received their royalties in relation to the mines, despite the fact that government is receiving almost 6 billion out of the mines, but the residents have not been compensated. You can enlighten us how you're going to cure that. Thank you.
Kimani Ichung'wah.
Thank you, Chair. Governor Mvurya, I would want to hear what you intend to do to stop the prevalent fishing or exploitation of our marine resources in our high seas by foreigners, especially what we hear, huge Chinese vessels that come fish and process our fish in our high seas, what you intend to do about that. Two, Governor Mvurya, you have indicated in your statement of net worth on item number 24 that you are worth on net basis about 120 million. And I'm sure you did disclose how much you are worth by the time you're becoming governor. Maybe how much was that before being governor in 2013?
In 2012, I think it was less than 10 million.
Less than 10 million. And you've also indicated that your sources of income is your salary as governor of about 1.136 million.
Yes,
in gross terms.
Yes.
So assuming that's in gross terms, if you were to even take a tax of, on average, 35%, in 10 years, then you'd have earned about 88 million, 88.6 million. Did you have other loans or liabilities by the time you were governor? Did you have access to facilities like mortgage facilities? Have you taken up as governor any mortgage facility or car grants or car loans that you are servicing at the time you are governor? Thank you.
Governor.
Governor, you'll take 4, then you answer them together.
Governor, I have had occasion to visit your county in the last parliament when I was chairing the Public Accounts Committee on the matter of royalties which were due from base titanium to the government. A number of issues arose, and even as we speak, some more issues have arisen. Specifically, the controversy surrounding the renewal of a special mining license for base titanium mining company in Kwale County, in total disregard to the concerns raised by the locals in Kwale about the grabbing of community land and expropriation of minerals by the said company, which has happened under your watch. Because you know, as governor, essentially you are the custodian of the community interests. These interests include land and other natural resources. So you are being accused by some people from your county that you had a hand in the renewal of this special mining license to base titanium company. Kindly clarify to us any role that you might have played in this controversial renewal of the mining license to base titanium. Thank you.
Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman and Speaker also. Chair, I would like to ask the nominee, because this ministry that he's been nominated for, Ministry of Blue Economy and Mining, deals majorly with issues from where I come from in Migori, 50 to 60%. Because the blue economy issue is a fishing issue, I want to ask him what he intends to do about fishing in that side of the country, restocking of fish production. What do you intend to do to revamp the fishing industry, which has collapsed in the lake region? What plans do you have? And secondly, the issue of mining. As you're aware, nominee, there is a lot of gold mining in Migori. And there are a lot of unscrupulous business people who have opened mines there, including companies from outside the country, Chinese, who are doing a lot of mining there for the last 5-10 years. So how do you intend to revamp that place so that the mining industry becomes productive for the people of that area, so that they can benefit from the mining instead of people coming there and mine gold, many kilos of gold, and disappear with it without even paying any taxes to the government? There's a lot of contraband mining that is going on there at the moment.
Owen?
Just a quick one, Governor. Just one, the fishermen at the coast, especially, they want fishing nets, they want fishing gears, and they want all these inhibiting statutes removed and regulations removed, so that they're able to go to the ocean, to the sea, fish, and make money, especially the hustler fishermen. But there's a lot of inhibition. What are you going to do to ensure that the fisherman at the coast doesn't sleep hungry? Two, the former president launched a 10 billion fund, KMDF, that fund, 10 billion to assist fishermen at the coast. But up to now, I think it's like 3 years, we have not seen any impact. How are you going to salvage this fund so that it gets to the right fishermen, the artisanal fishermen, and all the people in the fishing industry to help the hustlers come out of their poverty? I thank you.
Chairman, I forgot something. I forgot something very small.
Yes.
If you allow me. Yeah, Governor, there are these national fish quality control laboratories that were established in Kisumu, Nairobi, and Mombasa way back in 2017 through support from government of Spain. And they cost about 1 billion Kenya shillings. Up to date, there are staff deployed to these 3 laboratories, around 60 of them in total. But they are idle because there's been no budget allocation, nothing at all is happening in these laboratories. Kindly help us understand what you plan to do with them. Yeah.
Thank you. Owen, switch off your microphone. Salim? Pardon? Salim, you can now answer the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I begin with a question that has been asked by Honorable Gladys Shole on issues of licensing and corruption. I think in the ministry, before a license is issued, it's a process where the Mining Rights Board has to do vetting, have to look at all the applications before the CS issues the license. And I think, as you correctly put it, we are also living in a situation where we have people who would wish to benefit in that particular process. And that is why, if this committee is satisfied that I can hold that docket, we will immediately digitize that process so that those who want to apply for licenses do not have to run around looking for people in hotels for breakfast meeting or whatever. They can do it at a click of a button. So I think once this committee is satisfied, one of the very early actions that I will take at the CS is to make sure that we digitize this particular process so that then it becomes easier to control, it becomes easier also to track, and it also becomes easier to know those people who have applied for licenses. Because within the process, if it is manual, you could have a situation where one applies a license, they stay for 5 years, another one applies in 3 months, and they are licensed. So I think this is what I plan to do to be able to address the issues of corruption. I also want to say that this event in May 2022, where Honorable has mentioned that there were residents who had not been compensated. Let me say that in the entire, it's not just a one-off. I think we've had quite a number of issues with relocations and compensation, and these are issues that we will need to deal with them in the law. Because as you already know, Base Titanium is one of the big companies that has invested. But as a country, we have not had an enabling legislation. The legislation that we have is the one that was done in 2016. Before that, we had one that was done in 1940. So in between, I think it will be important for my ministry to work with the National Assembly so that we are able to have a legislation which can guarantee the rights of citizens so that they are not exploited by investors. And as a government, we need to rise to the occasion so that we have proper regulations on compensation. The other question by Honorable Ichungwa on exploitation of fish in the high seas. Let me say that as a country, we have an opportunity. If you look at the entire blue economy and marine fisheries, aquatic fisheries, we have an opportunity now to make sure that we bring synergy and we also bring sanity in the area of fishing. Most of our fishermen who go to the exclusive economic zone, they have had these challenges where the other international trawlers come and they steal our fish. I think, Honorable Chairman, it will be our responsibility as a ministry to make sure that we work with security agencies to protect these areas. As it is now, I think we have quite a number of issues in the EEZ, and these issues will only be dealt with if we have synergy with the other ministries, Interior and Defense, to make sure that we secure this zone. Because in this zone, we can easily triple our income. In fact, if we are able to invest in supporting our local fishermen, if we are able to support other investors in this region, we can actually raise the income from 27 billion to around 150 or even 300 billion in the EEZ, the exclusive economic zone. The other part of that question was personal from Honorable Ichungwa. Indeed, yes, in my term as a governor, I had loans which I paid and concluded with the various banks, and therefore, as I concluded my term, I didn't have any loan with anybody. The other question from Honorable Opio Wandai on renewal of license. I think, Mheshimiwa, that should be a wrong accusation. I did not participate in any way in renewing the license for Base Titanium. In fact, if you followed the discussions, I think we have been very emphatic in terms of a public participation process where wananchi will be involved, where county government will be involved in the renewal. And I think in most cases we have seen gaps and we raised them. So I want to confirm that I'm not party to this special.
Point of clarification.
Yes, Wanda.
I didn't imply that you did the renewal, because that wasn't your role at all.
Yeah, but facilitating.
The accusation is that you could have influenced the renewal of this special license. Yes.
And that's what I want to confirm, Honorable Member, that I did not in any way influence the renewal of the license that they now have. I think that is a wrong accusation. The other question from Mheshimiwa Junet Mohammed about fishing in Migori. I'm sure Mheshimiwa, you are speaking on behalf of Migori, but I think I want to broaden the response because I'm sure other members from Kisumu and other areas would be interested to hear. What the plans we have for inland fisheries is, first of all, to grow the cage fishing so that we can expand the horizons of fishing in that area. And then one of the things that we can do once approved by this committee is to make sure that we support the fishermen with storage facilities. A lot of fish goes to waste because of a lack of storage facilities. So we should be able to support fishermen in the lake region and many other areas with storage facilities, and also try to put them together either in BMUs or cooperatives so that they can be able to access funding. I'm sure my colleague who was here before me on cooperatives has talked a lot about the Hustler Fund. So I think this is one area that we would wish to provide leadership in the fishery sector to put together fishermen so that they can be able to get loans and any other facilities that they could have. And also in the other inland fisheries, like in Lake Turkana, which would be of interest, I want to say that right now we have an opportunity. We have a good market for mango tilapia, and I think they will also benefit from a lot of storage so that they can make that industry a 2 billion income facility in Lake Turkana. That notwithstanding, Mheshimiwa, is the issue of restocking, which I think the fisheries team have been working on, and that is why we have centers of excellence in Kisumu so that we can improve the aquaculture in that area. The other question from Mheshimiwa Junet related to gold mining in Migori. And I want to combine this with the other areas that have deposits of gold, I think Kakamega and other areas. Right now, Kenyans are not benefiting from this gold because, one, that gold has not been quantified. Secondly, that gold has not been checked in terms of quality. Secondly, we have a lot of artisanal miners who don't have the skills. I think we've seen even in other areas where we have had debts. So I think what we plan to do in this area, first of all, Honorable Chairman, this is an area where government has to come in. We can't have a situation where we don't have data, where investors are the ones who are telling us how much gold. So I think the first thing that we will do now for entirely all the minerals in Kenya, we will have a geological survey, which I think there's a process which has already begun. And that process has to be concluded so that we can know which is where. Then we can do ground truthing to confirm the quantities. And in this area, Honorable Chairman, the ministry will need the support of this House so that we have a lot of budget to make sure that we have a lab which can function. The one we have here in Madini House does not have equipment to even know the quality of gold that is produced in those areas. Then secondly, we need to invest in processing so that we are able now to help the people of Migori to benefit from the gold that they have. And I think it is possible to have a functional processing facility. I think Ghana have done it. There is no way Kenya can fail to do it. I think if we put our efforts together, we can improve our capacity in mineral processing. Mheshimiwa Owen Baya has raised an issue about the statutes and the fishing nets. I think we have a law, a fisheries management law, which was passed in 2016. Honorable Chairman, it will be important for the ministry to work with the National Assembly to provide the necessary regulations, because currently we don't have regulations. Even in licensing, we are losing a lot of money because there are no regulations that have been done to operationalize this law. So I think the first thing we will need to do is to come back to this House so that we can do the regulations, and those regulations then, I'm sure a honorable member will have a lot of public participation so that these regulations are favorable to the artisanal fishermen. The other thing we want to do, or once approved by this House, we can do in your area and many others, is to make sure that we position strategic areas where we will have collection points, well equipped with storage with ice, so that then fishermen do not have to sell on the same day. Fishermen can be able to have a negotiating power. Currently, if you get fish around 8 a.m., if you can't sell by 2 p.m., then you are at the risk. So I think that contributes to a lot of losses. So I think one of the things that we can work together with this House is to make sure that we actualize the landing sites in the various areas that have been suggested. The other issue from Mheshimiwa Owen is the issue of 10 billion, which was launched by the former president. I think it will be of my interest, once I'm through with this process, to work with the leaders in that area to make sure that this money can be able to benefit the right people. Mheshimiwa Opio, there's a question on the labs. My first assignment after swearing would be to make sure that the lab in Kisumu is functional, the lab in here Nairobi is functional, and the lab in Mombasa. If we don't have functional laboratories, then we cannot talk about fisheries as a serious venture. So I think this is an area that we can still work together and achieve a lot. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Salim. Next, Daud. Wacha nianze na Mama Mishi. Mama Mishi, Daud, Kosing, George Murugara. Ferdinand, you also want? And Ferdinand. I'll come to the back. One intervention, one question each.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before my questions, I just want to applaud Honorable Junet on the issue of the royalties as per the mining in the coast region. I'm just citing Kwale on titanium and also Taita Taveta. It's high time maybe, if you approve, you can come with amendment. Instead of getting only 10%, maybe we can have 20% and more. My question will be on two areas. One will be on the Kenyan seafarers, commonly referred as Mabaharia in Kiswahili language, or you can call them Masela. Honorable Chair, the Baharia or the seafarers have been raising a lot of concern regarding inhuman working condition, though the country has done a lot on port management reforms. The Seafarer Union have always said that most of the welfare issues have been neglected or rather have been overlooked. The issues are in terms of proper agreement, safety, health measures, medical cover at sea, and social security for Kenyan Marines working aboard and local and foreign fishing or merchant vessels. Honorable Chair, these seafarer, all the Baharia, have been having all these challenges, but they fear to talk about it publicly because they think when they put their voices, then they're going to lose their jobs. But actually, there is a lot which is happening in the merchant vessel, or rather in the fishing vessels. Sometimes even the crews disappear, and you don't even get the report or other information regarding their whereabouts. There are also incidences of murder, injuries, and so many other issues. Honorable Chair, I would like to ask Honorable Member, who is the nominee, what kind of intervention or other measures is going to put in place to ensure that our baharia, or rather our seafarers, are going to have a conducive environment in terms of working in the vessels.
Thank you.
In the same perspective, Honorable Chair, please, because Kilimo Samawati comes from the coast region, I would like to be given 2 questions, if possible, through you, Chair.
Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, due to bad governance at the State Department of Maritime Affairs, it has been very difficult for our students in this country to acquire marine studies. Most of them, they have to travel to Malaysia, South Africa, Tanzania, and other countries. I don't know whether the Kenya Kwanza government has some proposal to ensure that we strengthen Bandari College, TUM University, and other institutions in this country so that we prevent our students from traveling all the way to all those countries. The other issues, I'm going to say it in Kiswahili, and it is about our fishing folks in our country. Wavuvi wetu hivi karibuni wamekuwa na shida sana ya kuambiwa ya kwamba lazima walipe coxswain fees ambayo inakuwa takriban 180,000. Hata kama unapeleka kiboti kidogo, unapeleka dau, unapeleka ngarawa, unaambiwa ulipe hiyo fedha. Na hawa ni wavuvi ambao ni maskini sana. Vile vile pia wengi wamekuwa wakifurushwa katika zile tunaita landing sites. Na zile ndio sehemu zao tu za kuweza kutengeza shed, kuwa pengine na choo na kuwa na store ya kuweza kuweka bidhaa zao. Kwa hivyo nataka nimuulize mheshimiwa aliyeteuliwa ya kwamba atashirikiana vipi na Wizara ya Ardhi kuhakikisha ya kwamba zile landing sites ambazo zimeweza kuchukuliwa na mabwanyenye na kuweza kujenga mahoteli mpaka kupita ile nafasi ya kisheria ambayo inaachiwa wavuvi zinaweza kuregeshwa kwa serikali, kwa sababu hizo ni ardhi za serikali. La mwisho ni mambo ya port police kuweza kusumbua wavuvi wakiwa baharini, wakiwa wanafanya shughuli zao za uvuvi. Na tuboreshe kilimo samawati, tuboreshe kilimo cha samaki. Asante.
Let nobody emulate Mishi. Daud.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations to Governor for nomination. Some of the functions of your office, if you are confirmed, are mineral exploration and mining policy, inventory and mapping of mineral resources, mining and mineral development. There's an author who did a geo survey in Meru. And you know, because a lot of people think Meru or agricultural areas do not have minerals. This was done by Kasim Mustafa in 2015, where he did magnetic studies of iron ore in deposits in Beo area in Meru. My question to you, CS nominee, is once you come in, are you going to just focus on areas which are normally known for mining, or are you now going to focus on the whole country so that we know we've got iron ore in many places so we can get it? So I want to ask that only from you. And there is this thing about quarries. We've got issues in quarries because Meru is where we get people dying in stone quarries. So what are you going to do about that? Thank you.
Next, Honorable Kosing.
Thank you, Chair. And maybe a small interest is that Mvurya and myself were beneficiaries of one of the most prestigious scholarships in the world, Ford Foundation Scholarship. When you went to Sussex, I went to University of Bradford. So that was leadership scholarship, very prestigious in the world. However, that aside, now back to job. Honorable Mvurya, I didn't get your proper explanation on the artisans, small scale miners. This is what builds an economy of many people, particularly in arid areas. And I want to take a specific example of West Pokot County as an example of other places in the country. Mvurya, you see, this is what supports many people in almost most rivers in Pokot, Turkana, Tiati, and so on. And if that would be developed, Honorable Mvurya, that might be an alternative to cat wrestling, so that at least people can also move from cash rustling to maybe this formal, unlikable kind of industry. But the government has never been there. Your ministry only is in Nairobi. Before you came, hopefully this committee will approve you. It's only known in Nairobi. It's not known in Pokot. So can you take that on as an alternative, maybe source of livelihood to the Pokot? And finally, what is the relevance of putting mining in blue economy? Or, take it this way, putting blue economy in mining. What is the relevance? It's a little bit confusing. I'm sure you didn't do the executive order. But of course, now as a minister coming in, possibly, what do you think is the relevance of putting those industries together? I thank you, Chair.
It's point of order, Chair.
Yes.
There was nobody on the floor.
I think that is an unfair question because he didn't author, the nominee never authored that ministry.
I have not stopped cursing because he knows I had stopped Ferdinand when he asked a similar question. The nominee has no hand in framing the portfolio. He's only been nominated to go and run the portfolio. But
that is a relevant question, Speaker, that I asked him.
It's a very relevant question.
What does he think is the relevance of putting blue economy and mining? He's a well-educated person. He's going to answer that. I know. Thank you, Speaker.
George Murugara.
Thank you, Chairman. Was there a nominee? The Raka constituency in the Tharaka-Nithi County is extremely endowed in minerals, but they are not exploited. And the reason why they are not exploited is the fact that you have not devolved your ministry almost or at all. We have a lot of iron ore strewn across the whole area of Tharaka. Gemstones actually find their place in Tharaka. If you are approved by this House, do you intend to devolve your ministry to sub-counties like most of the ministries, such that where we have a DCC, we also have a mining officer? Because with that, we'll be able to know what we have and what is of benefit to the country.
Ferdinand, I had some time to go to Kakamega gold mine area. Saturday, the incident happened in Migori, where these so-called miners actually, if you go there, it's so crowded, and people sit there forever looking for mines and coming out. Sometimes it's a problem. You know of a case where recently somebody was buried for almost 2 months, and luckily they managed to get the remains of the poor boy. What if you get this chance to be a minister for mining? What plans would you have in mind to be able to control this kind of sad cases? And I'm sure it's not really the first time they've had other cases like that in the past. Thank you.
Salim, can you deal with those?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I begin responding to the issues raised by Honorable Mishi Boko, the MP for Likoni. And she wanted to know whether there could be an amendment on the law so that royalty can be shared differently. Honorable Chairman, I want to say that the Minerals Act 2016 apportioned royalty sharing to 3 parties: the national government, 70%, the county government, 20%, and the local community, 10%. Today, I'm sitting here before this vetting committee, but also having been a governor, I want to say that that sharing has not been realized. And as we follow up, I think what I've noted is that For example, the 10%, there is no framework that has been developed by National Treasury to share. As late as last 2 months, that is when there was an opinion that the 20% can go to county governments without any subsequent legislation. So I think this is an area that requires not just an amendment, but we need to work together so that we can actualize this provision of the law. Because the law has provided, but there are no mechanisms that this has been shared. And I think we have had a lot of struggle. So what I want to say, Mheshimiwa, now that we know this challenge together, make a favorable recommendation so I become the CS, and we work together on this matter.
Precisely.
Secondly, you asked about the issue of Kenya seafarers and their human conditions and welfare. First of all, Honorable Chairman, I want to say that once approved by this committee, we have grand plans to make sure that we employ 1,500 seafarers through some partnership with MSC. And therefore, these issues of human welfare, I'm sure they will recur. But I know these are issues we can work together, one, with the National Assembly and the requisite Ministry of Labor, so that we can be able to have a good framework where our seafarers can have an enabling environment to work not only in Kenya, but also abroad. So I want to confirm that we will have a positive intervention in this, so that then we have a situation where our seafarers can benefit from this particular employment. Alongside that, I want to inform this committee and the House that in terms of skills, in fact, most of the seafarers who will be looking for are those with basic skills, plumbing, pool attendant, and many others. However, for them to work in the ships, they need to undergo other trainings like safety and others which are relevant when they work in the ship. And that is why one of the important institutions that we need to work with is the Bandari Maritime Academy. We need to work together in this House to properly resource Bandari Maritime Academy, so that then the situation where we have people trained outside this country, which is very, very expensive, then we can stop it and people can be trained within the country. And once they are trained, they are assured of a job in those ships. The other issue that Mheshimiwa raised is the issue of bad governance in the Bandari and Kenya Maritime Academy. I think these are matters which, once approved, then we can delve deep into them and make sure that we have a solution and we have institutions that are responsive. But more importantly, we will need to work together with this House to properly resource these institutions so that we can be able to have some training ground. And it's not only Bandari. I think we have an opportunity to establish another institution in Kwale and many other areas of our county. So I think once we have a good collaboration, I'm sure then we should be able to resolve this matter. Nyingine umeuliza wavuvi walipe coxswain na wavuvi wenyewe ni maskini. Jambo muhimu ni kwamba ile ambayo tunataka kufanya wakati nyinyi mtakuwa mmeidhinisha mimi kama waziri, ni kwamba hawa wavuvi wenyewe tunataka kuwaandalia masomo. Kwa sababu tunajua hawa wavuvi wengine wana ujuzi lakini hawakusoma. Kwa hivyo ni jukumu ya serikali kuandaa masomo yao ili waweze kusomeshwa. Badala ya wao kukodisha coxswain, wao wenyewe wanaweza kuteuana, kwa sababu tumeona katika bahari sehemu za Shimoni, sehemu zingine Lamu, tunavuka na dau ambazo wale ambao wanapeleka si kwamba ati walienda kusomea nje. Kwa hivyo hili swala ambalo tunaweza kulishughulikia. Swala lingine umeuliza kwa Kiswahili ni kwamba kuna wavuvi wengi ambao wanahangaishwa, na wakati Coast Guard ilipoanzishwa, ilianzishwa si kwa sababu ya kuwahangaisha wananchi, lakini kuwalinda wakifanya biashara zao. Kwa hivyo hili ni jambo ambalo wakati tutamaliza hatima ya shughuli hizi tutaweza kulishughulikia, ili wale askari wawe na nidhamu ya kuwalinda wananchi wala sio kuwahangaisha. Swala la ardhi kuanzia Lamu, kuanzia Kiunga hadi Vanga, kumekuwa na zoezi ya kuangalia zile sehemu ambazo zitaweza kuwa bandari kwa wavuvi. Sehemu hizo zimetambuliwa. Kwa mfano pale Lamu kuna moja, pale Kilifi kuna Ngomeni, kuna nyingine inaitwa Kichwa cha Kati, kule Kwale pia zipo zimetambuliwa. Kwa hivyo nafikiri ni jambo ambalo litahitaji tu ushirikiano, alafu kisha tutaweza kulitekeleza. Lakini hiyo yote itategemea vile tutakubaliana kwa kamati hii. Honorable Rahim, I hear you. I have listened to you about this issue of geo-survey. You know, Honorable Chairman, in this country, I think we are now I don't want to say we are the only country, but we are one of those countries who seem not to worry about our prosperity. We cannot have a situation where the government does not have data. We rely on data from, like now the one you mentioned in the geo-survey, from private people. How do we control? That is why it is important for the ministry, through your approval, to make sure that we invest in geo-survey for the entire country, so that we know what is in Meru. If Meru has iron ore, then we can be able to know we have it. If in West Pokot we have minerals, then we know we have it. Then we can even go ahead and quantify. Right now, you know, right now the government is being held hostage by middlemen, people holding information. In fact, the other day I heard people who are really celebrating. They're saying in Kwale we have trillions of rare earth. Whose data are we relying? So it is important that the entire country, the ministry is facilitated. We look at the gold in Western, we look at the gold in Migori, and we should have data. And in my view, the government should be telling investors, we have this kind of minerals in a certain region. Investors come and invest. If it is a double P or something that will be a single investment, then they can apply their license as such. The other thing we need to do is to invest in the National Mining Corporation. We set up a corporation through the 2016 legislation, but it is idle. It doesn't have a budget. It doesn't have any development funds. So I think once approved, these are some of the things that we will need to work together so that then we are able to rescue and rediscover our country. Because if you look at what we have, we really are sitting on a lot of prosperity. And the only way we can be able to succeed is to have reliable data, which the government has done. So I think, I know there are other honorable members who had a similar concern. So I decided to put it together so that it can also respond to the other issues. On the issues of quarries, Mheshimiwa, I think having been this nominee for these few days, you know, I've been looking at some information. And I think we really need to come back to the House so that we can have legislation that guide all these quarries. Because, you know, it will only benefit our people if quarrying is also looking at issues of environmental protection. As it is now, I don't think we are there yet. So I think I would like to appeal to members of this committee that this is a matter which we can revisit once the approval process is done. Mheshimiwa Kosing Thank you very much also for reminding me that we were cohorts in the International Fellowship Program of World Foundation. Thank you very much. And I know me and you signed a charter to make sure that we work around issues of social justice. And that is why you have succeeded in your elections many times. Honorable Chair, this issue of artisanal miners, this is an area we need to invest in. Because artisanal miners moving from Taita Taveta, from West Pokot, from Western region, they are not properly organized. So one of the things we have to do is to properly organize them. Then we have to empower them. For example, in other areas who are doing gemstones, now we have a gemstone center. We need to empower them so that we can cut them out of middlemen. So I think one of the actions that will be very, very important is to make sure that, first of all, we identify them, because right now they are not even, you can't even know who is an artisanal miner. They are very erratic, so we need to put them together so that they can be officially recognized, they can be trained. And this training is not a school training. We are talking about a skills training. And now the good news is that we have Taita Taveta here, which is a center of excellence for minerals and mining training. So we can take them there so that we can empower them. I think Mheshimiwa George from Tharaka, I'm sure that the issue of gemstones and iron ore in Tharaka that have not been exploited, I think is the entire issue of knowing which is where. Right now, we have 13 offices in the country. We have 13, because the ministry divided the country into 13 regions. So we still don't have staff in every county. But that notwithstanding, we need to, first of all, invest in our geologists. They have trained, they have papers, they have skills, but they don't have the equipment to function. Madini House is just here to look at the quality of our minerals. It doesn't have equipment. In fact, the gold in Kakamega, they do their quality check in Mwanza, Tanzania. Some do in South Africa. So I think as a government, we cannot allow that kind of situation. That also goes with people who have been doing exploration for many years. When they come to you, they are saying, we are not yet mining, we are just doing exploration. But they are selling gold. Yeah? So it is important that we work together to arrest this. And the only way is to make sure that we have data, we empower our technical team so that then we can be able to have prosperity in this particular sector. And I think that's the same with Mheshimiwa Ferdinand. I think I agree with you. I have seen, and I know that artisanal miners have died because they go there to do mining without any skills. Wanafunga tochi tu hapa, you know, and then all of a sudden we have reports. We have to make sure that we have proper regulations. We have to make sure that artisanal miners have proper skills so that they can also, you know, even when they die, nobody pays them. Even when they go through all this finding out where there is gold, the middlemen undercut them in the price. So I think these are some of the issues that we need to work together so that we can bring prosperity. And even though I didn't want to answer the unfair question why the ministry was called the way it was called, but I think I want to thank the wisdom of His Excellency, the President, in putting together mining, blue economy, and maritime affairs. In the blue economy sector, in the oceans, in the lakes, in the rivers, we have a lot of minerals. So I think there is a lot of relevance in putting it together. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you. Naisula, Mukami, Gikaria. Naisula, did you raise your...
Yes.
Yes, Naisula, then Mukami.
Thank you, Chair. Listening to you, the nominee, it feels like as a country we're really underfunding mining, and we're not taking it seriously. And I'm sure through your interactions with the ministry and the ministry officials as you are preparing for this vetting, how will you be convincing Cabinet and even Parliament for more funding so that you can execute your work better? The second question is the issue of environment and ensuring that you do your work, but safeguarding our environment and also the interests of the communities. And then this one just is a thought. Where I come from, and especially in the north, there's this long-standing theory that the reason we will never know peace or why we will not have security is because the area is filled with minerals, with oil, with all that. And finally, when we saw oil in Turkana, it almost confirmed the theory. And I know that we have so much minerals as well, even from my own county. I just want to pick your mind and how you'll be working with your counterpart at the Security Ministry to see that we have peace in those areas so that you can explore some of the minerals that are there.
Okay. Rahab.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, Governor, for your nomination. We all know minerals can be a great source of income for local communities and the country at large. How are you going to enable the country maximize the revenue and the profit? Because you know most of the time people will go for the minerals in Turkana, and the Turkana people will gain nothing. Thank you.
Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just on one aspect. You know, mining is a very big issue here in the country. But once they have done their bit, they have taken the minerals and they have gone decommissioning. I would really want Waziri to explain how we'll handle the decommissioning aspect of those areas that have already been taken care of. Secondly, I've had him asking for more funding to do a geophysical survey. To my recollection, just this year, the former president had unveiled a report or an airborne report of all where we could. And I think there is a report to that effect. And I think it was unveiled by the former president himself. So maybe why duplicate? Why not use the report that is already there for you to be able to understand where all these minerals are? Thank you.
Salim, you can answer those.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And I begin with the question from Honorable Naisula Lesuda. She wanted to know how I would be able to convince Cabinet to allocate more budget to this particular ministry. I think the first thing that we need to appreciate is that this ministry, even though new, it holds the road to prosperity. In fact, if I'm allowed, I would say we will rediscover our prosperity. If we want to prosper, then we need to invest in this particular ministry. Not only mining, but even the other aspects of blue economy and maritime affairs. Kenya's international trade, 90% is done in the ocean. So if 90% of our international trade is in the ocean, then definitely this is a very important aspect that we will need to put on the table to be able to fund. If you hear the figures, even though we don't want to say that they are genuine, about the minerals in the different parts of the country, then you know very well that this is an area we will need to support. And I'm not just going to convince Cabinet, but I'll be coming to this House also to convince you. And I'm happy that apart from asking for the budget, I will also come to this House to account. So I think it's a very a fair discussion that we work together to make sure that we inspire prosperity in this ministry. Secondly, you talked about the insecurity in your region, and the suspicion is that there are minerals and other resources. You know, Honorable Chairman, if we are able to quantify what we have where, if we are able to determine how we share, because I'm sure all this insecurity is because people want a pie of the cake. But once we know, in Samburu, for example, we have this mineral here, we have this, and the quantities, and we have a good royalty formula backed by an operationalization through regulation, then I'm sure we should be able to convince warring parties that, okay, you don't need to fight, because after all, you have your share. But you know, some of these issues are also caused by people who have interests, who never want to see peace in that region because they want to be explorers all the time. So the only way is for government to provide leadership, the ministry to provide leadership to make sure that we have a total control of our resources in the country.
Environment.
The issue of environment, I think once a license is issued, one of the conditions is that whoever is going to invest, they have also to show how they are going to take care of environment. So I think it will be the responsibility of the ministry to enforce that. Because even before they do any other thing, they have to do an EMA report. But when they are confirmed, they have also to do an action plan on how they are going to take care of environment. So I think that is something that can be done. Mheshimiwa Rahab talks about the actions that we will be able to do to make sure that we benefit from revenues and profits from minerals. I think, Honorable Chairman, there are quite a number of legislation that we will be coming here to propose. I give an example of cement. You know, cement in this country, clinker is being imported from India and Egypt. But when you go to Garissa, you have gypsum. When you go to Kitui, you have limestone. When you go to all these places, limestone is not an issue. So I think what we need to do is to have a policy on value addition and processing, so that whatever we have in our country, then we don't need to import. And I think one way of getting maximum profit is to make sure that we add value and we process. There's no reason why the private sector is importing tons and tons of clinker from Egypt, from India, and other countries. If we can give incentives, and one incentive is to declare those areas that have gypsum like Garissa, Kitui, limestone, and other areas, we declare them export processing zone, so that the investor investing in that area does not have to incur other inhibiting taxes. And I think that can give us leverage in terms of benefiting from minerals. Decommissioning aspect, I think, as I mentioned, when somebody gets a license to mine, when the period expires, then they are supposed to have an action plan on how they leave site and how they handle the issues of environment. Mheshimiwa Gikaria, this airborne report, it is there, but it's not complete. And even if it is completed, you know what it only shows are rates. For example, if you overfly a certain area with iron ore, it will indicate a red. We need money to go back to do ground truthing, where now our people go to the ground to establish the real quantities in those areas. Right now, the airborne survey will only show you we have gold here, we have this one here, but they will not show you the economic value of those minerals. So I think we need a budget to be able to go down and make sure that we have specific information. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Salim. Just one or two questions and comments. You have been assigned a wealth creation ministry. I've not heard you tell us how you can turn this portfolio into mega wealth for Kenya. For example, our maritime now extends 450 nautical miles from the shore. We extended this when I was foreign minister from 200 to 450. Like Ichungwa told you, countries bring motherships to our territory. They take our fish, they process our fish, they label them products of their countries and export from there. What are you going to do about it? We have the second largest freshwater lake in the world as part of our territory, Lake Victoria. Together with your colleagues in East African Community Ministry and Security, you have to secure our fishermen in Lake Victoria. They are at the mercy of our neighbors. Ugandans come for 200 kilometers from Entebbe to abduct our fishermen 5 kilometers offshore from our territory. You must secure that. 3, this country has enormous mineral wealth, like you have rightly said. There's a Belgian publication I read that equated Kenya's mineral wealth as being equal to Saudi Arabia's oil reserves. How are you going to convince Parliament to give you enough money to map out, to have a proper mineral map of Kenya? If you look at the map of Australia, it tells you exactly what is where. That should be your starting point. Then you must also strengthen, together with the Office of the Attorney General and good lawyers in practice, mining contracting. You see, foreigners just come here, they sign on a piece of paper with some villagers and start scooping our minerals, are going away with them. It's happening in Makalda, it's happening in Lolgoria, and it's happening everywhere. As the custodian of our wealth, you must also have a ministry with a very strong contracting department that helps communities, individuals, and the country to have proper contracts with proper royalties defined, proper profit sharing, so that we can be able to benefit. Otherwise, we'll end up producing so much and having so little, enriching other countries. So your work is cut out for you. If you want to comment on that, you can. Then you can have your 3 minutes to say your last wish.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I think the work that is cut for me, I want to confirm I'm up to the task, Honorable Chairman. I agree with you. This ministry is a wealth creation ministry. Wealth creation in the sense that we have a lot of opportunity, enormous opportunities to grow our income as a nation. And if you look at the fisheries, for example, if we are able to secure the exclusive economic zone, and we are also able to entice trawlers to be able to go deep sea, then we can even talk about In a year, we can even get 350,000 tons of fish from that particular region. In the same breath, if we are able to have a mechanism, a fiscal policy, which can be able to be enabling. Because, for example, Honorable Chair, you might be surprised. If you are a foreigner and you are fishing in our waters, and you come to fuel in the country, it is cheaper than a local who is fueling here and fishing in the same area. So the area of levies on fuel, we need to look at it. The other area, Honorable Chair, is the area of shipping line. You know, we have an opportunity if we had a functional national shipping line. We can even double our profits at the port of Mombasa. I don't want to mention some countries. It might cause diplomatic row. But I want just to say that there are countries you can't imagine who have surpassed us in the area of just, by only having a shipping line, they've been able to double or triple their revenue. So if we are decisive, and I'm counting on this House, so that we are able to explore our maritime capability, we can double. As I mentioned earlier, Turkana alone, Lake Turkana alone, a small intervention will double the revenue to 2 billion from one lake, by just getting this mango tilapia, which I'm sure my friends might be aware, mango tilapia, which fetches good price in DRC, in Lubumbashi and Kinshasa. If we are able to add value in Lake Turkana, we double. If we are able to also work within Lake Victoria, Lake Naivasha, we can double. But there are decisive issues, Honorable Chairman, that the Ministry and National Assembly have to make, so that then we are able to realize these gains. And part of it is to make sure that Liwatoni, this is storage place in Liwatoni, I know it's done phase 1. It becomes the landing site for all the fish in that area. So that somebody does not fish in Kenya and offload in Seychelles. We want them to fish in Kenya, offload in Kenya, add value in Kenya, create jobs in Kenya. And I'm sure we are discovering, because Wananchi Marine was doing very well. We had youth and women employed. So if we can functionalize Liwatoni, if we can functionalize all the other areas we have identified as a ministry, then we are able to double our income. I agree with you, Honorable Chair. We need to work with the Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, to make Lake Victoria secure, so that we don't have a situation where our people are held hostage. I know the Coast Guard may have done their part, but it's high time we need an integration of interventions in security so that we are able to secure our people. I think the other issues, Honorable Chairman, are also points for agreement and concurrence. The one on contracting, strengthen mining contracting, and having a strong contracting department. I think I've noted this, and once I'm confirmed and sworn in, I should be able to...
If you are confirmed, not once you are...
Okay, if I'm confirmed, and then we should be working together, yes, Honorable Chairman,
absolutely,
to expand these ideas, so that then we are able to gain a lot of prosperity in our country.
Yes.
Chair, on the aspect of decommissioning.
We have, you have not answered about decommissioning mines.
I think
before you answer that, Dawood wants to ask something about FLOSPA.
Thank you, Chair. CS nominee. There is, in the Carrier Valley, we've got Kenya FLOSPA Company Limited. And on 23rd of September, 2022, it has been gazetted to be dissolved, or dissolution of that company, of Kenya FLOSPA. together with the other companies which are there, do you think if you are confirmed, will you be able to look into it and reverse those companies which are beneficial to Kenyans?
Okay, the issue of decommissioning, I think I had said, Honorable Chair, that within the law we have a process. When mining is complete, then there are processes that have to be followed. And part of it is environmental protection. Part of it is their social issues, because they normally do a social impact assessment. So then we measure them, within those parameters, so that we're able to decommission. Mheshimiwa Rahim, I want to assure you that this issue of LOSPA, even now I don't have details. It is a matter that we can work together, get the details, and make proper recommendations on how to move forward.
You have 3 minutes to tell us your last wish. Bwana Mvurya, what do you want us to do with you and for you?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and members. And I want, first of all, to thank you for this discussion, which has been very fruitful. Secondly, is that I've been a leader in transformation, I think, from my experience. And I'm appealing to this committee to find me suitable to serve in the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs. I think the last is a question, maybe to the chairman, Honorable Chair. Maybe I also want to ask this committee, what is that one expectation you have on the CS Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs?
To create wealth. We told you you are a wealth creation ministry. We expect you not to dish out mining licenses to friends and foreigners for free. We expect you to protect local interests of Kenyans. We expect you to act as a nationalist, not a sectarian king. We expect you to do many things. You are very successful as a governor in Kwale. We expect you to transform and translate that success to the national arena. Yes, Ishungwa?
Chair, maybe if I could just add to that, Governor Mvurya, when he served as governor, he was called mtenda kazi. So tunatarajia utakuwa mtenda kazi ukiidhinishwa kuwa waziri. Vile ulivyokuwa mtenda kazi kama governor, uwe mtenda kazi kama waziri.
Okay. And I must salute you for your humble positions. A governor of 10 years, to have what you have said you have, if you have told us the truth, also reflects well on you. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Waziri nominee. We wish you well.
Thank you.
You can now take your leave.
Chair, on a last point of order, now that you raise that issue of the net worth,
yes,
is that your individual net worth, or could there be other assets held in the name of your wife or wives?
I think the question here is you net worth, so is individual net worth.
You may have other properties and assets held by your wife or wives.
No, if they are held in those names.
Are they yours?
No, they are not mine. They are not mine.
Okay.
So, Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I want to confirm to Honorable Ichungwa that yes, it is possible, and I'm ready to transfer the skills that I had in serving the people of Kwale to the national level, and that you can count on me. Thank you very much.
Well done, and we'll let you go to your other duties. Please, if you are confirmed, serve Kenyans well. As it is now 1:06 We have 2 to go. Huh?
Is it? Okay.
Your clerk tells me lunch is served, so I'll give you 30 minutes to have a quick lunch and resume at 1:36. 1:36. 30 minutes only lunch break. Yes.